My name is Vrinda. I started this company 114 AI along with my co-founder in 2020. Prior to that, my experience has been has been on bringing digital innovation to the healthcare industry. I'm originally from the healthcare industry. I've worked in both private and public health, and my over the last couple of years, my role in various different corporations has been on standing up new innovation-focused business units. So that's the background with which I come, and this has been a very interesting journey, a lot of fun, and look forward to more. So the best advice that I was ever given was consistent from the time I was younger till I got much older, which was don't stifle yourself. So don't put blinkers onto yourself. And I think too many of us do that, right? We box ourselves into roles that we think that we might be good at. But the reality is you don't know what you're good at until you've tried and failed. So that has been the best advice, and I have taken it and I have given that as advice. So yeah. The biggest challenge was going from an Indian, high school education system to a North American undergraduate degree, where the focus here is more on learning, on learning what's in the book. Well, the focus there is more on thinking. And when you're younger, it takes a significant amount of time to figure out the difference between the two and apply it. So that's one of the main challenges that I faced. But I also found the concept of opening your mind to a new way of education very uplifting. Too many kids, I feel, when they go to college, shy away from the resources that are available to them in universities, and most universities make phenomenal resources available to them. And I think that's one of the things that I did to overcome them, was take advantages of the resources that were provided to me at the university. And that's something I would encourage more STEM students to do, especially if you're coming into a new type of learning culture. So it's interesting you say that, because the Indian way of teaching morality is all storytelling driven. So like Greek mythology, we have a lot of mythology. So we grew up listening to stories about mythology, and that defines your quote unquote moral compass. And that's what it's meant to do. For me, however, most of these stories, I wasn't willing to or able to accept them, because it seemed so, I don't know what the right way to say it other than didactic. It seems so, gods and mortals and magic and all of this stuff. But what I realized was that if you distill it down and if you take away all of the fluff, it's actually very logical. Yeah. And most of the things that you're taught are about, simple moral judgments and about simple stories. So there's a very interesting book of stories that they read to us, which is about animal fables. It's called the Panchatantra. And each of those animals, it's basically, how animals interact and what the outcomes of that would be just by the laws of nature. So those are stories that stuck with me as I kind of grew up. And my previous job, or couple of jobs, were about spinning up new business units based on technological innovation. And I really enjoyed it. The interesting thing was we were sitting in large corporates in these multi-billion-dollar companies, but we were trying to stand up something completely new. It's like a startup within a conglomerate. We were given we had to take permission on working on a particular idea from the board, and then we were given a budget, and we were asked to come back with a business plan. And I found that whole process very exciting. And what I found even more exciting was executing on approved ideas. So you've got a lot of smart people in the room that you're going to with these ideas. You're telling them how you're going to execute, how it's going to become profitable, or how it's going to add value to a corporation. And then they give you a budget to go out and execute. And I found that part phenomenally interesting, and also very exciting. So you need nerves of steel to do it. And I thought that if I'm going to do this for these corporations, I might as well try and do it for myself. it's interesting, right? A lot of the work that we do right now is at the cusp of engineering and so this technology innovation and national security, because that's a lot of the primary applications of a new way of doing something. Um, and I've gone in there and I've learned a lot about these systems of systems and the complexities involved in a modern battlefield. But when people start to talk to me about my background, they're shocked to know that I'm a biologist, and that dichotomy isn't something people are able to resolve. So my inspiration has always been from nature, because nature to me and the understanding of nature, it's one of the most complex systems. And it's actually, if you look at it, it's perfect engineering at every level, right?
Yeah.
The world exists in perfect balance, in perfect equilibrium, and everything that happens that sets it slightly out of balance has a huge physical reaction. So if you're able to understand that, that's where I draw a lot of my inspiration. My biggest role models by far is Candace Johnson, and I think to everybody in this group, she would be unequivocally one of those people that we would all look up to. And it's just about the impact that she created and the glass ceilings that she broke in a time where it was that much harder to do so. It's not easy today, but if we rewind to what the world was like, forget just any one industry, but we rewind to what the world was like, 3-4 decades ago when she was out there doing the same thing that we are now. It was a much more challenging place. And I think that unequivocally, she would be probably one of my biggest inspirations. So, okay, one of the things that strikes me most interestingly about the millennials and Gen Z, and you see that also with the business market, the market innovations that we see these days, creating these billion-dollar unicorns. Millennial trends are fleeting. What that also tells us about this generation is that their interest is hard to capture and sustain. What I find is that two things really motivate millennials, and it's not what motivated the baby boomer generation, which is security, job security and financial security. This generation is looking for something new. They're looking for something that's challenging, but they're looking for it on their own terms. Now, that's a really hard balance to create. So one of the things that we have tried to do, for example, is for deserving candidates, create a Silicon Valley bootcamp. So create an environment where they can go to Silicon Valley or go to, certain institutions that we've created tie-ups with for 3 months, 1 year, all expenses paid for by the company, to go and learn. Right? So that's one thing we're working on. This is one idea. The second is, and a really powerful and a very effective CEO once told me this. So we do our weekly reviews with our teams, right? Where the teams come and they tell us what they're up to, and we ask them questions about why certain things have progressed and why certain things are lagging behind. So he told me that 20 years ago, his first job, the boss that made the most impact on him was one who once a month would come back in and give a CEO's update to the team. What that does, and I've seen that be really effective, especially with some of the younger people that I work with, they want to know what you're doing for them as much as you want to know how they're working for the company. So we made it a practice now to keep our team updated at least once a month over maybe coffee or maybe even beers, and tell them what we have done for them. What are the new projects that we're bringing to them? What are the new customers that we're going to be working with? What do they have to look forward to? How are they going to be challenged? And I feel like that's creating a really positive work environment. So those are the two things that I've realized when dealing with millennials, is their attention spans are small, but they also want to keep feeling challenged, but they want to do that on their own terms. This is going to be one of the most disrupted industries in terms of how the industry itself is structured. I think that there's going to be further fragmentation within the industry. I believe that technology is going to play an outsized role in changing the face of this industry. I think that this industry is going to go far heavier on a security focus. And I also think this industry we're going to see the rapid emergence of new and disruptive companies. telco is one of those industries which has been dominated by big players for so long that it's really ripe for innovation. But the innovation has to be mature enough for it to be applicable. And I think that we're now getting to that place where we're probably going to start seeing the beginning of it, and we're going to see far more substantial disruption in the coming years. So my advice to all young women today, and actually would be to kids across the board, is that that even if you don't intend to take forward a STEM education, keep an open mind and study it. Because what it gives you is a solid foundation of logical reasoning that you can carry with you for the rest of your life. The second thing that I would say to probably everybody who's in high school or in university today is that don't make the mistakes we did, learn how to write code. Because somewhere in your life, you have the option of exercising an absolutely new career path. And when it comes to STEM and women specifically, I would say that it doesn't matter whether you are a programmer, an engineer, a doctor, or a scientist. Think out of the box, because the traditional careers that we saw even when I was graduating from university about a decade ago, the world is a completely different place. And if you don't keep an open mind, you might lose some of the best opportunities you had. And I'll give you an example. A cousin of mine went to Stanford for their undergrad and got into Stanford Medical School. This was about 2 decades ago, got into Stanford Medical School. And it seemed like such a natural choice and such a natural thing. She'd been working for it, towards this for 6 years. She takes a gap year in between undergrad and medical school and gets a job at a Silicon Valley startup. Everybody in the family thought she was crazy because, Indians are traditionalists. You've got to be a doctor, lawyer, and engineer. Mm-hmm. And she's ended up doing better than anybody else in the entire family because she just took a different choice. She just took a different career path. So my view would be, it doesn't matter as long as you have solid foundations in what you studied. It doesn't matter what you choose to do. You can always switch back. You can always reinvent yourself, but try the things that you're passionate about.